Hello and welcome to a new stream in which I'm building a Syrian classic. I was a bit late, like a few minutes, because I was kind of confused. I thought that my sounds aren't working properly, because I couldn't hear any of the main menu, well, pause menu buttons when I click them, but as it turns out they work. So I guess Classic doesn't have the sounds for the buttons. Anyway, let's get started, and I'm going to start by showing the things that I had built off streams. And I basically built a bunch of natural areas, natural stuff. One of the things that I did was I built a whole bunch of custom trees over here, kind of starting from this line and going to the right. And I also did some landscaping over here because there was a bit of a hole here, so I raised it, and also basically did a bunch of landscaping so that I could fit more trees here. I believe I did it yesterday. Anyway, another thing that it's a bit laggy, so I'm going to shorten the range distance. Anyway, another thing that I did was that I worked on the lake that's over here. I try to kind of make it prettier. As you can see here, I've built a custom tree over here, and I've also added some lily pads along with some sort of cattails. I think they kind of look like cattails, but it can be the edges of that. Also, as you can see, we don't have just one size of lily pad, but there are also like larger lily pads, and all of these are around this sort of dam that was built by Cylinder. And I also made some changes to the landscape over here, because there used to be like a sand beach of sorts, but I removed it. Anyway, later on I'm gonna do some more changes over here. More specifically, I would like to add some custom trees over here to make it prettier. Also, I just noticed that there was some dirt over here that was from when I was taking some screenshots of this place. But anyway, those have been some of the things that I had done in between the streams. There is one more place that I've worked on in between these streams, and we are going to be visiting it right now, just because that will be the place which we'll be working on, which is the lake over here. I kind of drained it and just worked on it, doing some, I've expanded it, made it deeper, and also removed the islands that used to be here. And I think it's a lot better without these islands, since there was one bit larger and one kind of very small. I removed them because they were kind of in the way, and I didn't really know what to do with them. So I just decided to remove them so I would have more space in the lake. And I think it looks better. Anyway, also another reason why I've stated the reason why I decided to drain this lake is so that it would be easier for me to work on it, because if I didn't drain it, that I would have to swim through the water, which is kind of slow. But anyway, the thing that we are going to be doing in this episode is building some coral, so let me prepare some wool. I'm going to fill my inventory with various colors of cloth, except the green ones, since those will be reserved for seaweed, which we are going to be building once I'm done with the corals. I think I'm going to start over here. Of course, it probably doesn't make sense that the coral would be growing right over here, but doesn't matter, it's Minecraft after all. I'm just going to be building various shapes that I happen to come up with. I'm trying to make this place look interesting. Which of course isn't a particularly interesting task, but I decided to leave it for these streams since I wasn't really sure what I could do. I guess I could build a house or something, but I'm really think of a design that I would like to build. I'm not sure how long this will take, but I suspect I won't be finished with this lake. Or I should say that this lake won't be ready to be flooded at the end of the stream. I suspect that there will still be more work to do underwater. That's fine. I'll finish it once I finish it. I'm in no rush to be done with this. Anyway, is there anything that I could talk about? I guess I could talk about the things that I do normally with while I'm working on these sort of boring tasks, because you know, when I work, also I feel like these corals shouldn't be too close to the water. You know, it's kind of marked with the old blocks which I've placed here so that the grass wouldn't spread, because I find it kind of annoying when the grass spreads over to the places which would be underwater. It kind of makes it hard to see what is the lake and what isn't. So I got these bulky blocks to mark that. Oh wait, but anyway, as I was saying, I shouldn't be building these corals too close to the surface. Oh, what should I talk about? Alright, as I was saying, you know, when I kind of work on this off camera, I usually tend to kind of watch some stuff on YouTube, like various videos that I got saved in the watch later playlist, or I just kind of, well, why I kind of choose it is that usually I got some videos recommended for me on my home page, and I just pick the ones that I feel like I could watch in the future and just, you know, save them there. Of course, the type of videos that type of stuff that I watch while working depends also on the project that I'm working on. If it's something simple, like for example building these corals, or for example building the custom trees, then I kind of watch something that's kind of more involved, where I have to kind of pay a bit more attention. But when I do something more complicated, like for example building a house, then I watch something that's kind of less involved, like, you know, a lot of a stream. Like for example, lately I've been watching the VODs for the Ultimate Minecraft Volleyball stream by Zalnator, since, you know, it's also a Volleyball series, so I decided to watch it for inspiration. I feel like I've gotten kind of far with that series. I'm currently at the stream that marks the end of in-depth, which is like stream 45, I think. And yeah. Also other things that I also watched include like rewatching some videos that I watched in the past. Like for example, I rewatched Fragments, the series. Fragment series called The Journey, which is like another Bollywood series. I like rewatched all of the episodes that were out at the time when I was, you know, rewatching them. And I also rewatched some videos by Let's Game It Out, like his Satisfactory series. And I also rewatched some videos by a really like his, what was it, like iconic items and such, which reminds me that maybe I should also watch like his retro gaming stuff, like the Quake videos, since I don't think I watched those when I rewatched his stuff. I think I only watched the shorter ones, like the shorter retro videos. Yeah, as you can see, this is a sort of repetitive, these are a sort of repetitive tasks that I do while off stream. Nothing particularly interesting, but it needs to be done if I want to have these sort of details in my world. Because after all, this is the sort of world that I want to have. Of course, all of these corals will lose their colors once I update to end of death. They will regain their colors in like beta 1.2, which is still kind of far away, but it's nice to know that we'll get the colors back. Oh yeah, anyway, I feel like this area is starting to look quite nice. Also, another thing that I would like to once again mention is the website that I've been working on. I feel like I feel like it should be ready to be announced next week, because this week I kind of worked on finishing the in-depth website, since the in-depth world is finished. So I guess that site is closest to being finished, since there's no more stuff that I'll be doing in the world. So basically what I'm trying to say is that the in-depth website is the least likely one to be updated, unless I think of like some better wording for stuff, or decide to change the design that I'm going for the website. But anyway, as I was trying to say, I was working on the website today. I kind of added some descriptions to the different sections of the island, although I might need to work on those descriptions a bit more, since I feel like they aren't too great. They could be improved still, but that's something that I'm gonna take care of later. Also, I should try to I should aim to make these kind of random, or at least I should try to make these look random. They don't need to be completely random, since that's kind of impossible. Where is it? Oh, doesn't matter. Anyway, as I was talking, I thought the website should be in kind of shape by the end of I should be able to announce it the next week. Anyway, it's kind of hard to try and talk and also decide what I want to build at the same time. I would have thought it would be easier, but it isn't quite so. Anyway, as you can see, I'm kind of trying to build different shapes of coral, and I feel like I'm succeeding so far. The main shapes that I'm kind of doing is like sort of a tree structure and sort of like boulder of sorts, which reminds me that maybe I could add some boulders to the bottom of this lake of sorts, which is kind of good, which is connected to the ocean, so maybe it's like a bay or something. Not sure what should I call it, so I'm gonna continue calling it a lake. I guess what more is there to talk about? I guess last stream that I've talked about playing like GTA, and I've GTA San Andreas, and I've been kind of playing it a bit more, you know, kind of messing around. I've actually installed like another mod, which is a vehicle spawner mod, so I could mess around more easily, since with that I kind of have access to all of the different vehicles that you can find in GTA San Andreas. And I'm also, of course, planning to install some more mods. Thinking of trying to install like the time stop mod, which is something that I use there, and maybe some other mods. I wonder if there's like a gravity gun mod or something, because I remember like I've played GTA 5 where I've also installed some mods, and there was like a gravity gun mod, which is quite cool, so I feel like it'd be also fun to play around with it in GTA San Andreas. Anyway, I'm not sure how many of these rocks am I going to add to this place. Probably not too many, since I feel like that wouldn't look too good, plus I want, although maybe I should add more, since they might be a bit obscured by the corals which I'm building. Anyway, let's continue building, which there's something I want to check real quick, because recently someone has noticed that I didn't have my comments enabled on my videos, which makes me wonder if there are like people can chat. Let's see. Customizations. You can't see anyone, but that's good. I was worried for a second because, you know, as I said, for some reason I had my comments turned off, which I don't remember turning off. Maybe I did, maybe it was YouTube being stupid. Either way, I had to enable them manually on the more recent videos. Of course, it wasn't too hard, as YouTube has a way of turning on the comments on multiple videos at once, so it didn't take too long. You can like do it on up to 50 videos at once, and so you can kind of select multiplied ones on the list of content that you have. You know, if you've ever uploaded videos, then you should know what I'm talking about. Also, another thing that I just remembered that I would like to mention is that the reason why I'm kind of working on this lake is that I've kind of decided to try and finish this sort of area. It's for this, and I also like to finish the sort of hotel area, because the only thing currently remaining there is to add some custom trees. Basically what I'm trying to say is that the hotel area and the hotel area is almost finished, and this setup area over here that I've worked on in 15A, I feel like it's also close to finishing, so I would like to work on that before, you know, working on the other areas. Of course, I don't know how long it will take, or how long it will take to finish working on this world. I suspect it will take quite a while, at least like a few months. After all, it took me, I was about to say that it took me like 6 months to be halfway done, although I don't think I'm not sure like how much of the work have I actually done before I took a break to work on the in-depth world. It's kind of hard to judge these sort of things given the phase I'm going at, but I suspect that I'm at least 50% done with this world. I'm pretty sure, at least like based on the area that I've used up so far. But anyway, I feel like these rocks are looking good so far, although I was about to say that it looks like they're in a line, but that should be remedied once I add more of them. Also, maybe I should use like cobblestone as well. Add a bit of texture to these. I think that will be nice. Oh, I think that could work nicely. But anyway, what should I talk about next? I guess my plans. As you might know, I have recently released a special video for my experience in Minecraft Infinite series, where I kind of went through the history of my world, which was kind of a video that took a bit longer to work on, which also meant that there was a bit of a break between this video and the previous one, and there will also be like another break before I release the next one, and the reason for that is that I'm heading on a vacation next week, and I will be there for like a week, so I won't be really able to work on another video, which reminds me that I think the next video will be in this classic world, kind of going around showing the builds that my friends have built and kind of properly crediting them, and then I guess working on some other stuff. I was originally planning to work on the research facility in the next episode, but I don't think that's what I'll be working on in that episode. Instead, I think I'll be working on this sort of area, doing some stuff to finish it, although now that I think about it, I might have the time to like work on the research facility as well. We'll see depending on how things go. Also, I just realized that maybe I should be using mossy cobblestone as well, but not everywhere. Like, I don't want to replace all of the cobblestone blocks with mossy cobblestone. Now then, is there something more I could be talking about? I just like the videos that I usually watch. Earlier I've mentioned that, while working on these sort of repetitive tasks, I tend to watch some videos which I got saved, and I also like to watch some sort of Minecraft essay videos. Like, for example, I watched a video about the history of Minecraft music by C418, which showed that kind of music used to be... his music was hated when it was added, but of course later on became loved. And another video like that I watched was like how... I think it was titled like how to make your trees look natural, or it was why don't your trees look natural, or something like that. I basically talked about how your trees might not look natural since it's something you built instead of it being natural. Something like that, I can't remember exactly, but anyway, these are the sort of videos that I want to watch. But the problem is that I don't always choose these sort of Minecraft essays, and the reason is because I sometimes choose like some episodes from sort of a let's play series of sorts, and the reason for that is because they kind of treat the YouTubers who make these kind of treat those like they make the title look kind of like it's a essay video or something like that, instead of making it look like a part of a series by including a episode number and the name of the series, which is kind of annoying. As soon as I find out that it's a video like that, I always tend to stop watching it. Of course, I understand that they're probably doing it because of the algorithm, so that more people watch. I guess because of the psychology behind it, since people are probably more likely to watch a video if there isn't like a high episode number attached to it, like for example episode 45, since you suddenly have it's basically from the middle of the series, so less people might start watching it, so I guess I understand it, but still I find it quite annoying that these sort of videos that are part of a series aren't labeled as part of a series, because when I watch a series, I want to watch the whole thing. I don't want to just start in the middle and go from there, even if it's a let's play series, because I'm the kind of guy who watches full series, all of the episodes. Anyway, I feel like this is a decent amount of folders, and I've just noticed that this one is missing kind of the cobblestone. There we go. There we go. Feel like just a few more folders should be enough. And then I'm gonna finish this off by adding the cobblestone to them. To the ones where I haven't added the cobblestone since I didn't really think of it back then. Also, I feel like it's kind of interesting how I kind of changed my plans as I go along the way, because as I was saying earlier, there used to be like an island in the middle of this lake, and I was originally planning to keep it there because I felt that I could, because I thought that I would like think of something that I would do with it, but in the end I decided to remove it since I felt it was in the way. I felt like it didn't really fit in there, so I removed it so that the lake could be better, and I guess it goes for other things as well, since I'm planning to do some more landscaping over there, which I wasn't originally planning to do. I was planning to keep more the landscape intact, but I feel like it's better to just modify it. And yeah, overall plans change over time since I think of some new things usually. Which isn't too bad since I'm currently in creative, so it isn't too hard to rebuild stuff. But it might become annoying once I get to survival, since that might be a waste of resources if I change my plans too often, or like if I decide to rebuild stuff too often. Also, while we're doing on time, 33 minutes. I was almost about to say that I need to save, but then I remembered, I'm no longer in dev. I don't need to make regular saves since there is nothing which could kill me to make me lose my progress. Of course, I could always, my computer could always like blue screen or something, which would of course make me lose my progress, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I feel like this should be enough folders for the time being. So let's continue with building. I need to build more corals. Also, I just remembered that, earlier I was showing the lake that I worked on, and while building the lake, I kind of had an idea of adding some kind of fish underwater by using some wool. Basically, I would do like I would just basically place 2 wool blocks next to one another to kind of represent the fish, but I never really ended up doing that. The reason why I'm mentioning it that is because I was kind of considering right now if I would like to do it here, but I'm not sure if there will be enough space, given the fact that I will also be adding some seaweed here once I'm done building these corals. Also, building these walls has kind of made me remember the famous phrase by Bob Ross, that being that, you know, there are no mistakes, only Hipple accidents, and I feel like it's kind of true with this sort of thing. Sorry about that. I kind of felt something strange. But anyway, as I mentioned, as I'm kind of building this thing, these worlds, I kind of realized that the phrase that there are no mistakes, only Hipple with accidents, only Hipple with accidents, I can't speak, only Hipple with accidents is kind of true than building these sort of natural things, because when you think about it, when you go outside the trees and stuff that you see are kind of random. Of course, it isn't entirely random since it, kind of grows based on some predetermined rules, but the environment, how the tree grows or like the color grows is kind of random, which means that stuff you see around yourself in nature is also kind of random, and so it makes sense that when you kind of might make some mistake, it technically kind of makes your art more random, because maybe closer to how things in nature are. So I guess it's a bit of an improvement, since mistakes makes your art more. I can't speak. What I'm trying to say is that mistakes might make your art a bit more natural, I guess. Of course, some might disagree with me, but I feel like it can apply to certain things in art, like making trees or these worlds that I'm building, since building in Minecraft can also be kind of considered, can be also considered an art form. I was about to say that it can be kind of considered an art form, but there are definitely people who do consider it an art form. I think. I think I've seen these people. I remember someone, I think it was Griffin, mentioning that building in classic is an interpretive art, and I guess it could be also applied to other things. Well, I mean, other versions, because when you are building something in Minecraft, you don't have when you're trying to build something realistic, you don't have all of the things that you would find in real life. You don't have a refrigerator, you don't have chairs, at least not in vanilla. Maybe in mods you have, but in vanilla there are currently no chairs, so you kind of have to use some substitute, use stairs for chairs. You use iron blocks for refrigerators, along with the iron doors and other stuff, which means that ultimately when you look at a build that was made by someone else, you usually have to try to imagine what or interpret what the builder was trying to build. Of course, it's a lot easier in the modern versions with the amount of blocks that we have and the shapes that we have, but you know, there are still things that we don't have, like the aforementioned bridges. Although I guess things like this can also be overcome in vanilla, since we have access to maps and map art. Like, for example, seen, I think, a transformer or something like that made using map art, like the sort of front of the transformer, or was it an electrical box? Or just basically something, some sort of utility thing. And, you know, it had details done using maps, you know, map art, which reminds me that there's also like a subreddit called, I think, Detailed Craft, where people share the stuff you can do, like the different details that you can do. Also, circles are not another thing that you, of course, can't have in Minecraft, really, like in your builds. I know that there are the shadows, but, you know, mob shadows, but I don't really count those. But depending on the building techniques already, depending on how you build, you may have, you may kind of get close to having circles. Like, for example, if you have a build where you look at it only from one very specific angle, then you can have something that's very close to a circle, but of course only from that one very specific angle. Of course, circles and the only thing that you can do, like, by building something that's only viewed from one specific angle. There are other things. I think I also saw the same person who did the circle also did like a wheel and other stuff as well. Of course, there are more people who build like this, I think. Anyway, how are we doing in terms of progress? I feel like we are going well. Well, you know, there's still a big chunk of the Lego remaining. Also, I just got reminded of another topic that I could talk about, given the fact that, you know, no one is here, because that's kind of the topic, which is I feel like, you know, no one is really, I was about to say no one, but, you know, it's better to say that basically no one is watching my streams, and I guess it's because I'm not someone particularly interesting to watch while streaming, and I feel like, you know, my videos aren't also particularly, you know, watched a lot. And I guess I'm just not very well suited to being a YouTuber and just making these sort of videos and streams to entertain people, which I guess is fine, you know, not everyone is like that, and not everyone can make a career on YouTube. I don't know what. Well, I was about to say this, I'm kind of trying to improve, but I don't feel like I'm putting all too much effort into it. Maybe just the, how should I say, dedication of sorts. You know, the fact that I do this somewhat regularly might be helping. So, you know, the more I do these streams, the better I will get at these, even if it's at, you know, snail's pace. Because, you know, I don't like go out of my way to maybe like watch like my streams or just try to learn from them. Probably the biggest problem with my streams that is the lack of topics to talk about, because of one, you know, I kind of have a hard time thinking of the topics that I would like to talk about. I usually tend to think of some topics before I start stream, but the problem is that these topics usually tend to run out fairly early on, and you know, once they run out, I kind of can't think of anything to really say, you know, anything interesting that I could talk about, which is even worse when you consider the fact that no one is really watching, no one is really chatting, which of course isn't really helping. So I guess it's kind of a, you know, spiral, because, you know, no one is watching, so I don't really know what to talk about, and when I don't know what to talk about, then no one is watching, which of course isn't good. And the only solution, of course, is to try and keep talking. That way, if anyone joins, then they, you know, see me talking, they may stay for longer, and they may, you know, send some messages in chat, which might give me something to talk about. But of course, for that I need to, you know, wait some time, you know, I need to preserve. And the thing that's preserving is the right, I wanted to say persevere. That's the correct word. I guess this is the sort of thing that happens when you aren't a native English speaker, you know. I only use English when I'm on the internet, you know, I don't really talk to people outside of the internet in English. Anyway, how are we looking? I think I'm gonna turn on my autoclicker to get rid of the blood that you may have noticed. And it's on left. I'm gonna quickly remove it and then go to the top, because I kinda want to see how the progress is going. And the best way of doing it is, of course, to look from the top. And I'm going to use the autoclicker for this real quick. I'd say we are making good progress. I'd say that when it comes to the corals, we might be about 40% done. Of course, once I'm done with the corals, I need to work on the seaweeds, so the 45% figure is only for the corals. So, 40% is for the corals, so I guess maybe 20% done in total. Also earlier I was talking about the fact that I want to finish that area, and that's the area that I wanted to finish the 15 area, and that's the sort of area that I was working on off stream. As you can see, I've kind of removed the trees that were over here. Oh, you probably can't tell since you can't remember how it looked like. Oh, you might be able to tell since it's looking kind of empty, which looks somewhat unnatural. But anyway, that's the sort of place that I want to work on. I want to kind of expand this sort of river thing that flows underneath the bridge. I'll kind of make it a bit wider and also a bit deeper. And I also want to make it look like there's a bridge being constructed, you know, because that's sort of, I like to imagine that marshland over there is kind of protected. Maybe it has some endangered species, so the people of this town wanted to construct a bridge, but then some, you know, conservationists came here, found the endangered species, so the bridge construction was stopped. So basically what I'm trying to say is that I want to, you know, build the bridge construction here and make it look like there's a bridge being built, or it was being built, but the construction stopped because, you know, because of the endangered species. I guess I like it. That will look interesting, you know, it will add some lore to this world. Also, of course, I needed to, you know, make the render distance smaller because this is a huge world and it's a bit lagging when it has to, you know, render basically half of the world. Might be because of the leaves, so since there are quite a lot of them, since I also built some, I kind of forget to mention it, but I also built some custom trees around the church there. Did landscaping, but it isn't particularly interesting, so I'm not going to be doing it. Also, there is something that I'm going to need to take care of in like 7 minutes. Once this stream reaches the, I say 7 minutes, but I actually mean 4 minutes. Once we are at the full hour, or however do you say it, you know. You know, you get like, you know, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. Not sure when it's called in English. Also, another thing that I'd like to mention, I should mention, is that the reason why I'm building these floors is, you know, because I think they look nice. Because if I kind of go over here, I think they look very nice when you are... Well, I was about to say that they look quite nice when you look at them from the above, but when you are looking at them through the water, then a lot of the color is lost. But it's quite nice to kind of go through the seaweed and the corals as on the water. I think that looked quite great, and I feel like it might look even better once we get to more modern versions. Although once we get there, these colors might be different. Oh, these colors will be different, so I might need to like install some sort of a texture pack which changes these colors, which I feel like exists. Hello. Oh, I saw a texture pack which like re-adds the alpha neon grass. It's like also in plastic, and also like with neon leaves and just neon foliage in general. So I might like use it in the future, although I'm not sure which versions is it for. So I might need so I'll need to figure out that. I think it's going to be interesting to like use the texture. I mean, I think it's a resource pack, not a texture pack. I don't think it's like for beta versions and such. But anyway, what I was trying to say is that I think it will be interesting to see this world with like the neon grass colors, neon foliage, and the future versions. Also, another thing that I think will be interesting to do is to visit or to use like shaders in the future versions, although I will probably do it. I probably won't do it on stream. Instead, I will do it like in one of the videos that I will be making. I feel like that sort of thing will be better. Anyway, I'm going to finish building this coral and then take care of the thing that I need to take care of. There we go. I think this should be good. Although let me just check something real quick. Yeah, it's still below water. I was worried for a second. Anyway, I'll be right back. And I'm back. Hopefully you didn't have to wait too long, although judging from the views, no one has joined the stream since I left. By the way, mission accomplished. I've gained some respect, maybe. Also, I just realized that another thing that I could be talking about when it comes to my role or the future plans for this world is, or are the plans when it comes to what I want to do with this lake. Because, I've mentioned I want to finish this sort of area. You could call it sort of the corner area with the hotel and the 15A area. But anyway, the thing that I want to do with this lake is to turn it into kind of a beach area. So my plans are that once I build it back up with water, then I will have some sort of floats. Also, I just realized that when I was at the top of the top of the sample, I forgot to save my location. That's because there is something that I want to do real quick. Let's see. Alright, there we go. I want to go to the top of this thing. Alright, I think I'm at the top, so I'm gonna save my location real quick. There we go. And I'm gonna save. Let's see, city 13. I've made 13 saves of this world so far. The reason why I've made so many is because I made a bunch of decisions like removing the island, so I made a bunch of backups in case I changed my mind about my decisions. Anyway, currently the latest save is something I made because I want to flood this area so I can just use the save to unflood it. There, let's open it up. Let's change my render distance and let's watch it flood and see if there are any things that I'll have to change. I think over there, I feel like some of the blocks might be at the water level, although maybe they aren't. I'm gonna need to check by going to the bottom. For now, I'm gonna continue watching this flood. And yeah, I think the corals look quite nice. I'd say that they add quite a lot to the build. Also, I should be watching the water flooding the lake. That's more interesting. But anyway, that's flooded. Let's go to the bottom. And it seems like I was wrong. There aren't any blocks that would be touching the surface of the water, which is nice. Anyway, let's load up the last save so I can continue working on this thing. Also, earlier I was, talking about the progress when it comes to the lake, which once again reminded me about like the overall progress that I might have like on this world. How much, like how finished it is, because it's kind of interesting to like think about how far along I might be with the whole world, because it's kind of difficult to judge. There's still a lot of things that I need to build, and I don't really have a way of judging it. Currently, the only thing that I can really think of doing is like loading up, sort of MC it to load up this world and MC it. I kind of sort of take a screenshot of the world from above, and then I kind of use MS Paint to sort of cover cover the I should be saying like to sort of circle the areas that are finished in red, and I kind of fill those with red, and then I just kind of try to judge how much of the world is just filled with red, and like based on the fun, very certain that I'm more than halfway done with this world. But this sort of area-based approach doesn't really like take the complexity of builds into consideration, because for example, in the last stream I've talked about building the research facility, and the problem with that is that the research facility won't be a simple above ground facility. It will also have some stuff on the ground. The same goes for the bank, which has got like the vault on the ground, which is still unfinished. So yeah, as I was trying to say, it's kind of hard to judge, because different areas of the map take different times to different amount of time to construct, because for example, like an area with a lot of custom trees takes a shorter time than an area with a bunch of houses, because I need to design the houses, whereas with the custom trees I kind of just randomly choose a tree that tree shape that I want to build, and just build it and just repeat it a bunch of times, which isn't at all complicated. Anyway, more. I feel like it might have been muted a bit, because I can tend to mute myself so that you don't hear any things that might be happening around me, just in case. But anyway, what I was saying is that building a bunch of custom trees, I feel like is less complicated than building a house, for example, because, when I'm building a bunch of custom trees, then I just need to like choose a bunch of tree shapes kind of randomly and just build them, which is a lot easier than, having to pick materials to build a house and, choosing the design for the house, choosing the interior for the house, and such things. Which means that, certain areas take a lot longer to build than others, which means that it is hard to judge how long will it take for me to finish this world. But currently I estimate that it will take, that I won't be able to finish it this year most likely, so I'll most likely be moving on to NFF, the Infinite one in 2027 probably. Let's see, it's now August. So I got like 7 months to wait. Right, no? Right, I can't count. I meant to say that I got like almost 5 months to finish. Almost 5 months until the end of the year. So I think I'll probably finish it in 2027. Of course, I also need to take into account the fact that that I won't be able to work on this world every day. Sometimes I will work on it, 1 hour, sometimes 2 hours, sometimes maybe I will just hop on for half an hour. Sometimes I won't be able to hop on it, so it's kind of hard to judge. I should say that this is another reason why it is hard to judge how long it will take to finish this world, because I don't know how much time will I spend on it on average. Also, as you may be able to tell, sometimes I guess it's more often than not that I have got trouble expressing my thoughts, expressing what I want to say. So I guess that might be another reason why I don't really have that many viewers on streams. Because recently I kind of watched like a show from like Mumbo Jumbo where it was like from the middle of the stream and like everything he said felt like coherent, or at least like a lot more coherent than when I talk in this stream. But he's been a YouTuber for a lot longer than I have, and he's been like doing it full time for a lot longer than I've been doing YouTube in channel, so I guess it's understandable that he's better than I am, like a lot better than I am, but it's still kind of annoying to see how bad I'm at this, where someone like him is, so much better than me. I guess that's, envy. That's to be kind of expected, that sort of thing happens. Anyway, I think once I'm done building this scroll, I'm going to do a progress update to see how far How long are we? Yeah, let's see, we are currently hour and 18 minutes in. So about 14 minutes remaining of the stream. So I think at that time we should be able to, well, we definitely will be able to finish doing the corals, and then we'll start working on the seaweed, which I don't think we will be able to finish working on in this stream. So I guess I'll probably be working on this like a bit in the episode, which just reminds me that I forgot to mention some of my plans for the lake. Also, the lake is a bit, the music is a bit loud, like the high tones are a bit loud, so I'm gonna made it a bit quieter. Anyway, as I said, there is something that I've forgotten to mention when it comes to the plans for this lake. I've mentioned, or I think I've mentioned that I want to. Basically, what I'm trying to say is that I got like a beach area over here, and so I want to add like, once I thought this, like I want to add like some floaters, or whatever you would call them, like the donut thing, the inflatable stuff. What do you call them in English? I can't remember. And I also want to have like the set of swan boats. I want to add like a duck over there with like some swan boats next to it. The sort of boats in the shape of a swan, which you travel on to make them move. I want to add those. I want to build the dock and add those to the dock. And I also want to sort of add them around the lake to make it look like they are being used by the people, maybe by the people who own the apartments, not sure. Or maybe by the people who go to the hotel. Also, I've got 5 views, it seems now. 5 people who kind of joined briefly and then left. And of course, you didn't really send the message. If they did, you'll see it on the screen. Although I just realized, earlier I was talking about the progress, but I just realized that, with NFTF I kind of started also making videos about myself working on this project, which also means that I might be able to focus. What I'm trying to say is that like the videos also need to be put into consideration, because with those videos I kind of focus on this project a lot more, because before I started working on it I would what I'm trying to say is that when I work on videos I will try to work on them for like a week, because I like to release one video every week, which of course means that I would do a stream, then work on this classic world, and I would work on this classic world, but at the same time I would have a video which I would be in the process of making, so I wouldn't be didn't fully focus on working on the classic world. Whereas when I make a video for the classic world, I can focus more on the classic world, on the project, which I feel like makes things faster. So yeah, that is something that also needs to be put into consideration when trying to figure out how long it will take to finish this world. Anyway, the reason why I'm making like how long it will take to finish this world is because of, I am of course looking forward to playing in depth, and of course the future versions. I'm looking forward to all of the different things that will get added in the future, especially things like especially redstone related things like helpers. I'm kind of looking forward to automatization. I think that will be quite cool to build different farms, and I'm also looking forward to getting access to new blocks and new shapes, because currently we only have access to full blocks and one type of slabs. So I'm looking forward to stairs, other slabs, and of course other shapes, fences and stuff, and walls, and of course upside down stairs and upside down slabs. Those will be great. Those will be great to work with. Because upside down stairs are great for roofs, for example. And of course upside down slabs are also great for roofs. Not just those. But of course, at my current pace, it will take quite a while before I reach such novelties, such new things, because at least at this pace, because as you might know, it has been a year since I started working on this classic world, a year since I started this project as a whole, and well, it's been a bit over a year, I think a year and a month. No, I think year and less than a month. Oh yeah, basically about a year since I've started this project, and I haven't yet gone past in-depth. Of course, the in-depth world is already finished, but I have yet to finish the classic world, even given the fact that I invited some friends to build here. There's still quite a lot of stuff to finish. And I'm not rushing anywhere. I want this world to look good. I want to make it so that this world is something that I can be proud of, something that I can, look back to, which also of course means that I need to spend a lot of time on it, so it's good, adding details, changing stuff whenever I think of something better, and just stuff like that. After all, I want this world or this whole project to turn out well, because I've already kind of seen how it can turn out not well, how with like methods of the world project, because later on he can just stop enjoying it and kind of grew tired of it eventually, and because of the way he did things Well, you know, for example, the fact that he acquired some command blocks which allowed him to just go into creative whenever he wanted, which is kind of a mistake. I feel like if he took his time and just built stuff in survival, it would have been better. A lot of mistakes, I'd say, trying to 100% Minecraft, because that's kind of impossible. Basically, you know, what he did was that he was trying to collect everything, you know, every item, every block, every mob, which, and the fact that he was kind of rushing things meant that whenever he would like update, especially in the newest versions, he would like immediately try to, you know, collect everything instead of, you know, taking his time and doing what he wants, which of course he, you know, tried to remedy with his recent Forever World, which he, you know, also tried to stream. You know, he tried to, or should I try to, you know, play it once a week instead of every day, but as a matter now, he eventually stopped streaming because not that many people were turning out, and apparently, well, there were some like kids turning out, so he decided to stop streaming because it just wasn't like it used to be. If I remember correctly, well, I say if I remember correctly, but I do not know that I remember correctly. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that he's currently like playing a classic world that he's working on, which should be finished the upcoming Monday. He's currently in classic 30A. I mean, he's in classic 0.40 and his world should be soon finished. Gonna be there, I think. You know what, I think I'm done with the corals for now. I think I can consider not finished, so I'm gonna take the green wool and start working on the seaweed on the back. I'm gonna start working on it from over there. And how are we doing on time? Hour and 41 minutes in, which means about half an hour remaining of the stream. Also, another problem that I've noticed, like with me streaming, is that I feel like when I stream for too long, I've got kind of trouble speaking properly. It's like, you know, having difficulty to get the words out properly. But I feel like, well, hopefully this will improve as I stream more. Maybe I should also stream more often, but for now I don't think I will. Anyway, now it is time for the seaweed, which I feel like will be even more annoying than the other stuff that I did. Oh, it will definitely be more annoying than the corals. I just need to make sure that none of the seaweed goes to the, you know, the water level. Or if, you know, none of the seaweed goes to the surface of the lake, so it doesn't stick out. Thankfully I got these, you know, gold blocks to judge how high I am. And, you know, if what I can do is like try to point towards them, so I'm kind of you know, kind of looking at the horizon Not sure how to explain it, but you know, if I'm above the wall blocks, then I know that I should stop building the seaweed. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, sorry for not talking for a while. I kind of, didn't feel like I didn't really think of anything to watch, but anyway, I'm kind of getting tired, a bit tired from all of the seaweed building, so I think what I'm gonna do is take a bit of a break. So let me just, but only a bit of a break because I kind of decided that it would be nice to try flood the area to kind of see how it looks like with all of the corals and already and the seaweed that I'd built so far. Gonna get a bit of a break from all of the building. As I've said, firstly we need to save, do an offline one because apparently the online one are not paid. So I'm going to do the 13, overwrite the one that I did. Then right I want to increase the render distance. Then I want to break this and teleport up. And yeah, this area over there is looking good, densely populated, which is quite nice. And now I just need to make sure that I watch this thing getting flat. Because that's like the coolest part of this process. Anyway, yeah, I feel like this place is looking quite nice, although, the corals add quite a bit to it, although, it's still looking empty, so the area with the seaweed is looking even better, which just reminded me of that thing, because while I was working on this area, gonna build like an underwater cavern of sorts, which we'll reach if we go underwater in here, swim down, and as you can see in here we got a bit of an air pocket. I plan to do another thing like this elsewhere, but bigger. Although now that I think about it, maybe I could like expand on this, build a bit of like sort of cave with like an underground lake. That could be interesting. But yeah, here you can see this place flooded, even if it's unfinished. So let's load up the level, load up the last save, and continue working on it. Also, before I continue, I'm gonna quickly check something. Anyway, let's see. There we go, I've already rendered distance. I'm gonna continue right over here. think we've made good progress so far. I don't know about 5 minutes remaining, but I feel like I'm making faster progress with the seaweed than when I was, you know, building the corals. But I guess that's to be expected since the seaweed has a lot simpler shape. I just built a pillar of green and well, which is, as simple as it gets. It would only be simpler if I just built, I don't know, just placed a single block for each of these. Anyway, I've just noticed that we've just hit the 2 hour mark. So I'm kind of tired, so I want to end the stream. However, before I end it, there is just one more thing that I like to do, which is to just quickly take a look to see how this place or this lake will look like flooded, at this stage. So let me just quickly extend the render distance, practice, and teleport here, and yeah, I feel like we've made quite a bit of progress with the seaweed, so I feel like it shouldn't take too long to, build the rest of the seaweed. But yeah, I feel like this place is looking quite nice now that I've added the seaweed. I'd say it's a lot better with it than without it. So yeah, I'm quite looking forward to seeing this place finished. Anyway, that will be it for this stream. I'm not sure what will I be doing in the next stream. That kind of depends on the next episode, which just made me kind of realize that I'm not sure if the next episode will be released before or after the stream, given like the schedule with the vacation, but that doesn't matter. I guess if the stream is before the episode is done, I guess the spoilers can be kind of considered a reward, reward for those who watch the stream. They kind of get an early access to the thing that I will be doing in the episode. Anyway, that will be it for this stream, and I'll be seeing you in the next one.